What if my property does not rent out during this time because there are no more open homes? That's an easy one to fix. We have a great story about that, isn't it?
Very interesting question. I'm very excited to say that during this time, when everyone is worried about, this is where you would understand that having a right property manager who is equipped with the technology to service in any type of market. And it's been proven that one of our property manager, 2 properties got rented this week of our clients, and at full rent, without any challenge, where there is no open home is conducted. But saying that, you always, let's say even if it was not a case, you should be willing in a shorter period of time, you should be willing to drop rent. It's okay. It's okay to drop rent to attract the market, because then you can, what you have to do is do calculations on a lower interest rate. See, we are getting lower interest rate, but lower rent. So would you mind if I share a couple of examples here? And I have done some calculations to show, let's say if there was a 500,000 property and it was borrowed 100% including your equity plus the cost. And if you drop, generally that property would receive $400 rent in this market. But if you drop your rent to $300 and interest rates being under 3%, I have used in this example 3.5%, and an average income earner of 75,000, this property would cost you $22 per week. And if you were to take further reduction on rent, and if you are being very, very supportive and you want to make sure you have the tenant in that tight market, you can drop the rent to worse at $200. Still, that property would cost you $79 per week. And now I have done some calculations on 20% deposit as well. Sometimes people use 20% and 10%. I'll put those slides up so you can see that with 10% deposit at $300 rent, property makes you $7 positive cash flow. And if it's 20% deposit, even by dropping $100 rent, that property still makes you $16 per week in positive cash flow.
I might add to that as well. I think there's been a lot of fear in the media, a lot of fear in people about everybody's losing their job, nobody's going to be able to afford anything, if you don't have any money, how can you pay my rent? But it's really important to take note of what the government's done on this. They jumped on this incredibly quickly and took steps to make sure that didn't happen. Right? So first thing they did, they ramped up their New Start allowance, which they call job seeker payment or something now. Ramped it right up, $1,100 a fortnight. But now they've come out and put a $1,500 a fortnight payment to anyone that lost their job or was at risk of losing their job. Now this isn't going to capture absolutely everybody, but the majority of people, they're estimating 6 million people might receive this payment. That's a huge number, but these are the people who were worried about not being able to pay rent. Now suddenly a dual income household has $1,500 a week.
And there are some creative ways and there are some fundamental ways that one can take some additional measurements. So A measurement is potentially dropping the rent. A measurement potentially be deferring the rent. So rather than sort of dropping is an option.
Yeah.
Or alternate option is that you negotiate with your tenants saying that, okay, so rather than you sort of paying a $500 rent, as an example, you only pay $400 rent. And all we will do is that we'll add away that $100 as part of your area over a period of time, and we will go through that on a month-by-month basis. Let's just say I'll give you about 2 months,
Yes.
and then every 2 months we will reassess it.
Yes.
So we are all into it together, right? The mateship, that I'm sort of doing my bit, then you do your bit, as such. An alternate potential option could be is that the government is providing a whole bunch of benefits, as you said. So we've got this job keepers allowance as well, and job seekers allowance, which is that $1,500 that many people who lost their job through the employers, if they're eligible, that they're entitled to it. And if they're not, the government is providing this. What's stopping us as a landlord is to go back and negotiate, saying that we would like to have that as a direct debit. So from your employer's side of it is that this bit of the rent comes in as a direct debit from our point of view. Yeah. The thing, I suppose, what we need to be careful and watchful is that there is a human side of it, there is a statutory side of it. Now, statutory side of it, yes, there is some restriction from the government that one cannot evict the tenant for a period of time, whether it's a 6 month or so. That's stat. And then we look through from the human side of it, right? And the human side of it, we understand if someone sort of lost a job, we understand if someone is on that particular industry, we understand if someone goes through. And I think very often what I've found is that if I use the word dispute resolution, very often what I find is that more you speak, more you negotiate and create that as a bit of a win-win position, use your empathy, it all works out.
Yes,
That's right.
yeah. Just want to add there, Munzurul, the human side of it. I think it becomes a, this is where I'm getting a bit emotional here, it becomes a landlord's, landlord, understand that word, we are very fortunate to have that, if you are fortunate enough to become a landlord, and then understand that the government have supported you by dropping the interest rates. Have we passed on to our tenants? Our repayments have dropped.
Sure.
But we haven't. I'm just talking about the human side here. We can, during the crisis, if we all work together, that's where we can stop the crisis. That's where we can stop the recession, because what we can do, bit of it, it's gonna help.